Day 200. 2 Kings chapter 18. 2 Chronicles chapter 29, 30 and 31. Psalm chapter 48. Today we're journeying through chapters that tell the story of King Hezekiah, a leader who chose faith over fear, obedience over convenience, and worship over routine. As we reflect together, listen for the gentle whispers from Scripture that can strengthen your own walk with God today. Whisper 1. A fresh start is always possible. One of the first things Hezekiah did after becoming king was to reopen the doors of the temple. His father had neglected God's house, but Hezekiah refused to continue the mistakes of the previous generation. We read that in the first month of the first year of his reign he opened the doors of the temple and repaired them. Notice how quickly he acted. He didn't wait for a better season. He didn't blame his upbringing. He simply decided that today would be different. That's encouraging, because many people carry the weight of family patterns, bad habits, disappointments, or past failures. But Scripture reminds us that our past does not have to become our future. Sometimes the first step toward renewal is simply opening the door again, to prayer, to forgiveness, to worship, or to God Himself. A fresh beginning often starts with one simple act of obedience. Whisper 2. Before God changes our circumstances, He often cleans our hearts. Before celebrations began, the priests and Levites first cleansed themselves and purified the temple. This describes the careful work of removing everything that dishonored God. It's a reminder that true revival isn't just about excitement, it's about cleansing. We often ask God to change our jobs, relationships, finances, or situations. But many times He begins by changing us. What attitudes need to be surrendered? What unforgiveness needs to be released? What distractions have quietly taken God's place? God's desire isn't simply to improve our lives, He wants to transform our hearts. Real change begins inside before it becomes visible outside. Whisper 3. Worship is more than singing. As the temple was restored, worship returned. Musicians played. Priests served. People offered sacrifices. Everyone participated. It paints a beautiful picture of worship that involved the whole community. Today, it's easy to reduce worship to music we enjoy on Sunday. But biblical worship is much bigger. Every honest conversation, every act of kindness, every decision to obey God, every moment of integrity when no one is watching, these are also acts of worship. Worship is a lifestyle that says, "Lord, my whole life belongs to you." Whisper 4. God's invitation is wider than we think. Hezekiah invited not only Judah but also the scattered people of Israel to return and celebrate the Passover. Some laughed at the invitation. Others humbled themselves and came. The Lord your God is gracious and compassionate. He will not turn His face from you if you return to Him. What beautiful words. God never forces anyone to come. He invites. Some people reject Him. Others respond. The invitation still stands today. No matter how far someone has wandered, God's heart remains compassionate toward anyone willing to return. Whisper 5. God looks beyond perfect performance. Not everyone who came to celebrate the Passover had completed every ceremonial requirement correctly. Yet Hezekiah prayed for them. God heard the prayer and healed the people. This teaches us something wonderful. God values sincere hearts. That doesn't mean obedience doesn't matter. It does. But God also sees the person who genuinely wants to know Him, even while still learning. Many believers worry they're not praying well enough, not reading enough, not doing enough. Remember this passage. God sees sincere devotion, even when our understanding is still growing. Whisper 6. Generosity flows naturally from grateful hearts. After spiritual renewal came generosity. The people willingly brought offerings, first fruits and tithes, until there were heaps of provisions. The passage describes the abundance. Notice the order. The giving didn't create revival. Revival created generous giving. When people experience God's goodness, they naturally want to bless others. Generosity isn't measured only in money. It can be your time, your encouragement, your hospitality, your patience, your willingness to help someone who cannot repay you. Grateful hearts become generous hearts. Whisper 7. Trust God, even when the world feels uncertain. Then powerful enemies surrounded Judah. The Assyrian Empire looked unstoppable. Yet Scripture says something remarkable about Hezekiah. He trusted in the Lord. He held fast to the Lord and did not stop following Him. Hezekiah didn't trust political strength. He trusted God. Our modern fears may look different. Economic uncertainty, health concerns, family pressures, career challenges, unexpected losses. The temptation is always to place ultimate confidence in things that seem stronger than God. But faith reminds us that circumstances may change overnight. God never does. Trust is choosing God's character even when we cannot predict tomorrow. Whisper 8. God is our secure foundation. Our final whisper comes from Psalm chapter 48. This psalm celebrates God's presence with His people. For this God is our God forever and ever. He will be our guide even to the end. What a comforting promise. People change. Leaders change. Economies change. Technology changes. Even our own strength changes. But God remains. He is still faithful. Still present. Still guiding. Still worthy of praise. And because He remains steady, we can face an uncertain future with confident hope. These chapters we read today remind us that one person's decision to seek God can influence an entire family, community, and even a nation. Hezekiah wasn't perfect, but he consistently turned toward God. And perhaps that's today's greatest encouragement. We don't need to be perfect to become useful in God's hands. We simply need hearts that are willing to return to Him again and again. Thank you for listening to Scripture Whispers.